Then Sean will see all of your maps. He'll see the final report. All of this will be documented on it, and then that's where we'll.
And for clarity, another thing, when we were marking on this, like we were saying to everyone, like let's mark, like this is our markup to give to Monty. So we were clear in the beginning. It was not. People were not writing on this like things that were top secret information.
I haven't seen anyone cursing me on any of these yet, so that's a
that'd be a message they want us to deliver to you.
Probably not everybody knew your name.
Yeah.
I have a question. I noticed when Sean was saying something, you kind of wanted to say
know
something.
about the Section 35 and also the representatives from council. When you mean council, you mean the chief of the council as an entirety?
Yes.
Because there are 2 members that are in conflict of interest. That will be for that large portion of land.
Who?
Yes.
Joan and Judy for their dad's land.
Yep, and they disclosed that.
Yeah.
They have to. They filled up paperwork, and we're very specific that they can't.
They can't vote on it.
dictate or vote on what happens with their dad. No.
And also another question is what percentage is the band shaving off, or are they taking anything off of the CP holders
So
in your dealings with them?
So our information and what we do is we're only buying the property off of you that we need.
Okay.
The other thing that's important to know is that there is going to be also an assessment that's done by Monty and an assessment that's done on this side as well. So that information, I seem to remember you saying that was public information, is available as well. And those assessments will go to determining the value.
And you'll see it. It's not. It's not going to be like, oh, only Monty and council's going to see it. You'll be able to see it because it's your land.
Yeah, because from what I heard years ago, I thought it had to get approval from the some sort of bylaw or not
Section 35.
Approval from the band.
Yeah.
It does.
Referendum.
Yes.
The intent of
Yeah, you don't actually have to do a referendum, but that's kind of has chosen to in the past.
That's what I was asking, is there a percentage that's going to benefit the band?
There's not going to be any land component that's going to benefit the band except for the section that I need off of the band. And then we have to compensate that land.
Right.
That's the other part of all this is we can't allow the area of the reserve land to shrink.
Right.
And so that anything that comes off of this, so I pay for your land, but then I also have to buy the equivalent area of land that's added to reserve for the band as a whole. So, so if
that's what I mean.
So if I take, let's say I take a total of 5 acres off of your community members for this project, I'm actually have to pay for 10. So I pay for 5 for you, and then I have to do 5 for the band that is in addition to reserve for the band. I didn't quite understand, but yeah.
So we're not paying, so what it is, just to add a little bit to, so as his example, 5 acres of land that we are acquiring for our right of way. So then what we have to do is now we have to find 5 acres or more of land that's crown land, fee simple land, whatever your political chooses as to for land replacement, because as a Section 35 there is no net loss to reserve, so we have to find replacement land. So that replacement land would be in the band though. However they determine it, I don't know if they have the capability of saying, well now you can, I don't know that. That's
and something else we should mention as well is that after we go through the CP holder meetings, there is a community consultation part that's going to be coming up next where we talk to the whole band. So some of the questions that we identify is kind of almost preempting some of this knowledge. So we're asking the people, do you know of any lands that would be of interest? Like if there is going to be, like, when land is given to the band, like is there like a spot people want, the community wants, or how does it matter? And like, so we're trying to collect a lot of that information as well, so that it's useful, so the community has input on that, so that when we get to those sort of stages, we have like a clearer idea of like what matters and things to kind of be roped into kind of the negotiations part of it, and like, because you don't want a piece of land out in like in the Arctic Circle, for example, because that's not going to be very useful. There might be like a really key piece of land for the community that could be identified that that'd be important, and that's just to help that along more than anything. So it's not just a random kind of addition and just trying to provide information for us. All we're doing is providing information forward from people. But that's coming in in the next half that's happening,
And
which
that-
you'll be part of as well.
So can I just give an example? So for the Hoffman's Bluff Phase 2 project, that required a bit of Section 35, and that was strictly, there was no CP holder land, that was just strictly reserve band land. So for that Section 35, Chief and Council, and I assume it went for a referendum, so people knew the land that they were interested in that we're getting right now, we've got already. Just finalizing that, is that up at Harper Lake. There's 3 parcels of the land that they wanted, so that is what they selected for the replacement land for that Section 35. Now with this one, again, I don't know how the selection of the land replacement will be, but that's just an example of what we did for the Hoffman's Bluff.
How much acreage was for
Oh, I can't remember what. I'd have to
double
look up.
digits?
The value or
Yeah,
the
that
size?
was-
Oh, sizes,
It was
yes.
big.
It was big. It was way more than what we needed for our Section 35 transfer land. The land replacement was much bigger.
Was the same price.
Well, what we had to do with that, so actually the price was not the same. So the land that we needed for a right-of-way was actually valued more than what the replacement land was. So what we had to do is we had to then top it up by a cash settlement fund.
Interesting, because we never heard a damn thing about that.
Yeah, and
And it
that's
should be
where.
clear, all that money went to Ottawa. It didn't go in.
No.
Like the trust fund.
Yeah.
Yes,
Treasury.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no, here's no, here's
Yeah.
your check.
No,
Not
no.
like that.
Yeah.
And in order for the money to come back from Ottawa,
Yeah.
it needs to go through a referendum.
Yeah.
So I just want that to be clear.
Yeah. Interesting. So why are we going to need to take this to a referendum if that one didn't?
Because
It's a
bigger.
different process. Or you mean, sorry, maybe I didn't understand that question correctly. Sorry, say that again.
Okay, so after we've got all of our ducks in a row and it's time to take a vote on this, on the referendum, and you said we didn't have to. So why are we?
Technically, if you actually look at like the legalities and the paperwork, it's not actually required.
Yeah.
But the thought is that if there's community buy-in to give direction, I think it came down to the fact that in theory, really, the council is supposed to be acting on behalf of the community.
Yes.
And so the community should vote in order to be able to give council basically that direction to be able, because the council ultimately makes the call on it. So I think that's why that referendum was put in there, was the idea was it made sense that the community was giving direction to the council to basically.
It's the easiest way to show that the community wants it,
Exactly.
instead of individually talking to them or all that.
And it's good. I think it's a good idea, though, to like, I think it's good that it's happening.
And a vote happened for Hoffman.
Yes, it
Yeah.
did well.
It did?
For clarification, so when we do Section 35, wherever the band decides they want their land is where we have to have our land? Like,
You-
say for the 5 acres and their 5 acres.
So no, that's
Okay.
not how it works. So we pay for your property, okay? You don't get replacement land. The only reason there's replacement land is because that is a requirement under the Indian Act by the federal government. And so that replacement land makes sure that the size of the reserve of IR2 doesn't shrink. So that's where the replacement land comes in. So you guys don't get replacement land, you get a cash settlement.
That's right.
Well, I have an idea, but. Huh.
And you might remember, do you remember in our presentation
Well,
where we worked?
that reserve is shrinking then, either way then, for each CP holder along the highway. So there's that.
So your property, your individual property gets smaller. You get paid cash for it, but the total IR as a whole stays the same because we find other property for it.
So the band gets the land, but we don't.
That's right.
Correct. You
That's
guys
right.
get a cash settlement.
Well, it makes sense because all of this was band land at once upon a time, and then people got their CPs by where they lived or where their family lived, and that's how these. Yeah. Excuse me, and I think because it was band land all at one time, so give back, right? That's to me what would
Oh,
happen.
yeah, I don't know the problem, but I was just wondering.
Yep.
Because other people might be thinking they will get cash and land.
Yes, that's.
Yeah, and we're trying to be clear with folks that yeah.
Or if you wanted just a land swap instead of cash.